welcome, msKIRAspeaks. Before we get started, I ask that you watch the videos till the end, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Your girl almost threw in the towel. You guys know that I got sick and it just threw my whole entire game off. Christmas is a very, very difficult time at work, and with being a mother, I have so much stuff to do, so YouTube was like, it was a struggle, but it was what I wanted to do, y'all. So, set up this new ring light for y'all, gave you a change of scenery, and we're gonna get back into it. We're here with another episode. We're here with another episode of Marriage Bootcamp Hip Hop Edition, Season 18, Episode 8, Breaking the Cycle. So, it's day 8. The couple, my son, I got the heat on and it's messing me up. I don't even know if you guys can hear it. It's day 8. The couples are waking up and Moni is worried because Dr. Ish says that it's going to get a lot harder and she's not sure which way he meant it. And then Brock says, he's going to miss them when he's gone. And then they laugh and talk about, when kids go away to camp and then they leave and they miss each other. So Nori and Tuff, they're outside and they are talking, hoping for a positive day. They discuss the night before and they say, decision day is around the corner. Neri wants Nori to go down. Yeah, Neri says that she wants Nori to go down on one knee. She says in her conversational that when he proposed, they were at dinner and he was sitting down and Nori's like, you took too long to realize what was going on. In any event, decision day, she wants that man down on one knee to give her that ring. We're going to see Neri. So Amber, she questions why Neri and Nori are there. Brock says they're doing the lease, and Amber says that, they seem to be in the same spot as when they got there. All couples to the front driveway. And it looks like a construction site. Dr. Ish says their time there has been about tearing down the obstacles that are standing between them as a couple. But today, they're going to tackle themselves as individuals. The exercise is called Breaking the Cycle. And he says you have to be a healthy, stable person on your own before you can fully give of yourself in a relationship. We all know that that's the truth. Our past is the foundation for who we are today. It shapes how we show up. Dr. Ish, he's going to ask them a series of questions. Every time your answer is a yes, you're going to remove one brick. And if it's worth more than one, you're going to take more than one brick. So he starts with the questions and he's like, were you ever bullied as a child? I think Brock was the only one that took a brick on that one. Have you ever been assaulted by a loved one? Moni, of course, Amber and Brock. Moni discusses, her domestic abuse situation that she had in her past. We've heard about that before, so I didn't even really make too many notes on that. Did you ever fear someone in your immediate family? And Neri steps up and she says her dad was really strict, and she was always scared to do things or she was going to get punished. And in turn, she married somebody like her dad, controlling. Who has anyone ever lost an important person in life at a young age? Tuff says he lost his dad at 6. Nori lost his dad at 21, and he tells them, grab more bricks. That's worth more than one brick. Tuff gets overwhelmed when he realizes he takes a brick off and it reveals a picture of his mom who passed away in 2016. So Moni begins to quietly sob. And then, Dr. Ish is asking her, what are the tears about? And she says she didn't realize that he had so much loss, and it hurts for her to think about it. Ish says it's a good time to recognize when he needs someone to love him and give him a hug. And they give each other a hug. It seems really cathartic for the both of them. Anyone been exposed to guns at an early age? Brock, he talks about someone using him as a shield when he was 3 years old when there was a shooting going on. And I would say I don't know how he would remember something like that at age 3, but that's pretty darn traumatic. I guess that's something even at 3-year-olds you wouldn't forget. If there was shooting and somebody picked you up to use you as a shield, wow. So Nori talks about, he's seen gun violence all his life in the neighborhood that he grew up in, and Dr. Ish asks Dr. Ish asked, fast talking Kira, Dr. Ish asked if he ever felt like as a child that he could have, done better, or if there was something he could have done. And he says he feels that way about his father's death. He said he wanted to do more. He was on tour when his father died. And he says he never really grieved. He said his dad thought he was just hustling and telling him a story when he said he was a rapper. So when he finally saw, he was like, man, I'm sorry. He continues to ask the question, have you ever felt abandoned? Has anyone ever been lied to? Has anyone ever felt ugly? Brick by brick, they're building a whole nother wall on the table in front of them, and they're revealing old photos of themselves behind the walls that they've taken down. Has anyone ever felt like they were forced to grow up way too fast? Has anyone ever felt betrayed? Has anyone ever tried drugs and alcohol at a young age? And then he asked, this was another deep one, is there anyone who had to help raise kids that weren't theirs? And Amber says, she needs all the bricks, because growing up, she stayed with her mom, and then I think it was her little sister or her mom's little sister, I can't remember. My notes are a little sketchy, who had 8 kids. All the kids were younger than her. Amber was 14 when it started, and she said it got serious when she was 16. They would leave her on the weekends to tend to, newborn babies and all the rest of the kids, and sometimes she had to miss school because the grown-ups didn't come home or they were tired. That's a lot to put on a kid. I'm a single mother. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 19. He is not the daddy. You don't put that on the kids. I'm not saying he doesn't help out, because that would be a whole entire lie. He is a huge help, but that's a lot. That's a lot. Dr. Ish says the weight put on them by their family members, their circumstances beyond their control. Rewind. Dr. Ish says the weight put on them was put there by family members and circumstances beyond their control. He talks about, them putting up the walls for protection. Amber wonders where the drill will lead them, because they go take a break, and then they ask Moni if she's ever had anybody in her family that was killed, and then she remembers and she talks about losing her aunt. The aunt's husband was cheating, and she was in a traumatic state, and she was trying to get to him, and she got into a car accident, and then Moni's like, that basically hits her, and she said she doesn't want her and Tough to end up in a similar situation. So we get all couples to the front driveway, same setup. What has the weight of those events left with them? Dr. Ish asked, and we see the kids start to come out, and I really don't like this drill. Every season they have it. Because they have to say all this very, very real and hurtful things to these kids, and so the exercise is called Burden, and I really didn't want to delve into this one. I tried to take very little notes, but Moni, she tells her younger self to remain knowing nothing's wrong with you. You did not bring this on yourself, and you did not cause it. Dr. Ish points out that Moni is chasing the same thing that her aunt was chasing, and asks if her chase will lead somewhere different. And Moni's concerned because she's worried, what if the results are the same? She doesn't want to end up like that. Tough's brick says lost. He's had a lot of it. He wasn't there when his sister passed away. He says he didn't really take it that seriously, I think is what he says, but he tells himself, don't let the losses scare you. And in her confessional, Moni's like, no, be a little boy, be scared. Being guarded is what makes him not recognize when love's right in front of him. Dr. Ish tells us our personalities are shaped more by pain than by pleasure. Damn, that's rough. Trauma we experience as children shape the way we show up in relationships as adults. So Neri's brick says control. They discuss Neri being controlled by her dad and choosing a husband like him again. And Nori tells her younger self to speak up for herself, and she will be seen and heard. Nori's brick says dad. Whew, this was another one. Not the most other one, but he says his dad was his hero. His father was a hero in the community and a legend to many. And he belongs to the world the same way Nori belongs to the world. And Nori wishes that he had had more time with him. And when he didn't get it, he felt neglected. And he feels the same way. Dr. Ish is telling him, like, you feel the same way when Neri goes to do something without you, but it's not the same. And Nori cries. He never grieved. Amber and Brock in the confessional now. you know, they understand Nori a little bit more. Amber says she, hold on a second, y'all. There it go. So this thing has a remote. Threw the remote over here, and I was like, where's the remote for when I wrap up? Even though I have a bunch more notes, but anyway, now it's on the floor. So this is going to be a little fun editing. So Amber says she does not want to tell these kids what life brings. That's harsh, and I completely agree. Dr. Ish talks about wanting love from the two most important people in her life and not being able to get it. And in turn, all those things she would do just to, you know, just to get time from them. And Amber talks about being seen. Little Broxbrick says shield, and he has to keep a shield around him because he's different, and how hard it was that he lost his mom and it changed him. This is the tearjerker. And as he's talking, he's crying, and so is the group, and he feels like he has nobody but himself to rely on. And he says to his younger self, you're gonna then he says, you're gonna have a dope girl that loves you, that reminds you of your mom a lot. Keep her around because she's going to help you through a lot. And when I tell you, I cried. And it gives you so much clarity into their situation as to why he continued to stay with Amber, because they're so toxic together. It was deep, and I really didn't expect it. So he and Amber hug, and they hold each other so tight. It looks like they were never gonna let go. And Dr. Ish is like, you know, ask if he gets how the shield as a word applies to him, and he says he does. He wears it everywhere he goes, and Dr. Ish says it's exhausting. And we learned that Dr. Ish lost his mom almost, well, he said a couple days from 8 years ago, and he says it basically feels like yesterday, and after she died, his life got really messy. He wanted to distance himself from the man she raised him to be because every time he thought about it, his heart broke all over again. And Brock understands because he is doing the same thing. We must address all of our past to thrive in our future. So in her confessional, Amber talks about breaking the cycle, you know, of things that we took along with us, and she talks to Brock about the exercise, and they're in a good place. They're feeling a little sexual. They going up to the room and they rubbing and doing all this stuff, and they all get called to the boot camp room. But Amber and Brock, like I said, they getting a little cozy, so they're missing. I hollered. It's evaluation time, so Judge comes in to speak with the group, and she tells Amber, we see you. You're fabulous, and not to worry about what anybody else sees and who she picks. That's, you know, that's her concern. She commends Brock for facing it because he's got a lot to deal with. She addresses Neri and Nori. She says, you know, women are able to go somewhere and cry and get it all out, but with dudes, it's not the same. And she tells Nori he has to go for the thing that frightens him and that she's worth being frightened for. She says to Neri she did good work, but she does not want her to she wants to make sure that she doesn't lose her voice when she gets home. Judge says she saw Moni hurt for Tough deeply, but she couldn't express it to him at that moment, and the same goes for Tough. She says he's always very head on, and it doesn't look like he's very attentive to Moni. In the confessional, he says that Moni will always be a part of every aspect of his life, so they just need to figure out which way to best tackle it, and whether that's going to be them being a couple or basically them co-parenting. So the judge tells him, you know, you did a good job facing your fears, and instead of numbing, she bids them a good night. Dr. Ish tells them, you know, as they wrap up, that tomorrow is lie detector day and to think about their questions. So Moni pulls Tough to the side outside. This was a whole long conversation. I tried to take the gist of it because it was a lot. She talks about body language, and she feels like he's doing certain things on purpose, like she touching him pulling away sort of thing. And we see a behind the scenes thing where Dr. Ish kind of calls out that they're sitting so far apart. Judge briefly touched on it in that night's evaluation. And for the lie detector day, she wants to ask him, does he feel as though he is equally emotionally available as she is? So the group is in the kitchen talking, and Nori says he wants to ask Neri about changing her last name. He says that he had to ask her to change it, and it bothered him, and it was like 5 years. And that seems very telling. That's where our episode ends. So, you know, I love this show. Episode 9 is already out, so I'm going to try to watch that and get that up as soon as I can. Who knows when that's going to be? Keep your notifications on. If you've made it this far, put a little hug emoji in the comments, because this one was a doozy. Also, did anybody catch Moni Love on The Breakfast Club? So when she was on there, she said that she found out about tough cheating when she found out about tough cheating while she was pregnant on the show. She basically explains that well, to me, I feel like that explains a lot, because I was wondering why she was holding on to it. But basically, she said that she had found out about the infidelity after she had the baby, but she didn't know anything about him cheating while she was pregnant. She found that on the show. That's why she was acting like that, you know. Like I said, that part that she didn't know. So please, please, please put all your thoughts and questions in the comment section. And while you're here, please check out some of my other content. Thank you, thank you. Before you go, like, subscribe, and share. I appreciate you. Peace.